Hello and welcome to today's video. I had hoped to do it from this place. I came here deliberately with this power station in the background, but there's a bit of wind, so I hope it's going to work out all right. In this video I'm going to talk about economics and what you can do to help people in Ukraine. Now, if I could go back 10 years, or if you could go back 10 years, with the knowledge you have now, what would you do? Well, one thing I would certainly do is to buy Bitcoin. The reason I would do this is because 10 years ago Bitcoin cost around 30 cents, and I believe in 2009 it was about 4 cents, and today I just looked at a quotation, I think it was $35,000. So it's gone up by a huge amount. Indeed, if I had 10 years ago found 100 euros to put on it, then I'd be a multi-millionaire. Now, that would be quite a good thing to do, and if we all had the benefit of hindsight, we could all do things like that. Unfortunately, we don't have the benefit of the hindsight. Some people do have a certain amount of hindsight. For example, if you just happen to be the Minister of Health in a country and you know that a drug is about to be used in your health service, then what you could do is let me know and I will buy shares in that company. Of course, that is illegal. That is called insider trading. But there are people who do it, and there are people who have made an absolute fortune out of it. The most disgraceful case of this, in my opinion, was Nigel Farage, who was supplying information at the night of the Brexit referendum to his supporters and allowed them to make over £500 million by effectively trashing the British currency. Now, what would you do if you knew that a war was about to happen? Well, there's some shares you could buy and some other shares you'd want to get rid of. If you knew, for example, that your currency was going to tank, as, for example, Nigel Farage did, then you might take appropriate action. And what about something else? What if you knew that certain commodities, as a result of that war, would start going up in value? Now, according to my back-of-the-envelope calculations I did today, at the moment, between 800 million and 1 billion euros worth of money is going into Putin's war chest, or into his chest, because of imports of Russian gas and oil. And that, when people say, well, you've got to stop buying it, the problem is, where do you get it from? Otherwise, because it's not something you can just turn on a tap and more of it just suddenly starts coming out. Now, of course, the Putin and those around him would have known there was going to be a war, and I bet they prepared accordingly. Now, in time, we might know more about their stock market and other financial market manipulations and how much they actually made out of it. At this moment in time, we don't know. But when people say that sanctions are biting and hurting, yes, they are biting and hurting, but they're biting and hurting normal Russian people in the street. They're not biting and hurting those at the very top, those that knew, those who will have made a fortune out of this war and the suffering of millions of people. So, what can you do about it? Well, what did I come down here for? To what do you call them things? I've forgotten the word now. Power station. The first thing that you can do is stop using as much oil as you're using at present. Stop using your vehicle. Stop using your car. Instead, get the bus, get the bike. You can do something along these lines. I know it's more inconvenient, but it's not as inconvenient as life is being made for the people in Ukraine whose houses are being destroyed, lives being taken. That's a little thing you can do. There's another little thing you can do. You can turn the heating down. I'm not telling you to turn it off or asking you to turn it off. Just turn it down. You've got a number of advantages. Not only will it be helping people there, you'll also be helping yourself in two ways. You won't be spending the money. And the second thing it is, and knowing a little bit about medicine, or at least in functional medicine as far as health's concerned, if you're in a colder environment, it will speed up your metabolism. And so it's only a tiny bit, but it might help you a little bit. It might allow you to have that extra Mars bar once a year, but it will help in that way. Those are things that you can do now to help people in Ukraine and stop the flow of money to the Russian dictatorship and those around him. And indeed, it's not just helping people in Ukraine, it'll be helping people in Russia as soon as they get rid of this dictatorship. And so there's some of my suggestions and a little bit about economics. A little extra thing I would like to say about the sanctions is that obviously they sort of hurt us a bit more. Now fuel prices here have gone up since the war started by approximately just some quick calculation, about 20% at the pumps where I am, approximately. And that a little bit extra, of course, is nothing compared to what Ukrainian people are having to pay in different ways. And so that some businesses may not be able to export to Russia. Yes, I agree with that. But the people who's going to really get hurt by this are those who need grain from Russia and Ukraine. And where the harvests were already weaker last year, and those people, for example, in North Africa and other places, this will mean for them a great deal of hardship. Countries that really require, poor countries that really require cheap grain. So give a consideration also to them. Those people will be hit by sanctions, indirectly of course, but they will be. And the damage of the infrastructure caused in Ukraine by this indiscriminate, aggressive shelling of the country. So I hope that was of use to you. Now I normally, obviously, as long as this is going on, then I'm going to cover as much things related to Ukrainian history and economics and help that you can give until the situation actually ends. So I'm in southern Poland. And anyway, I normally upload on a Friday at 8 o'clock in the evening, my time, Central European time, so at 7 o'clock in the UK, and all sorts of other times in other places. And as soon as this war is over, I'll going back to doing things about Hitler, who was the Putin of his age, and I've got lots planned on the Falklands War, and for the 40th anniversary of that. So if you want to know when I do things, then please subscribe. I hope you could hear all that because I'm aware that there was wind. Okay, I know, I need better sound equipment. There's always somebody that says that in the comments. All the best from me.